This episode is brought to you by the future. Oatly had experts look into the future, which is totally possible, by the way, and then report back about what things will taste like when we get there. Learn about bold ideas, the dawn of decaf, and the rise of fiber in the Future of Taste report on Oatly.com. Welcome back to the Coffee Show, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have an interesting episode because we have some new sponsors for the World Coffee Championship, which, interesting times. Every few years we get some new ones. We bring some new equipment, but there's a few particular reasons as to why I feel like this time around it's different. And we'll get into that throughout the podcast. So every 2 or 3 years, I think it is, the qualifying sponsors for the Coffee Championship, so that, we'll focus on the World Brewers Cup and the World Barista Championship. They change unless it's renewed by the company. So it had previously been Vittorio Arduino with the Mythos. I can't remember the model of the grinder, but it's been the Mythos, whatever that, MY75, I think it is. Mythos MY75 grinder that, for the World Barista Championship for the last few years. And then it was the Mazza something for the Brewers Cup. So anyway, they've changed. So for the World Barista Championship, Storm Barista Attitude by Astoria or something has renewed for the machine. And we've got a new grinder sponsor for the World Barista Championship, which is Ceado. And so we've got 2 new grinders there. I'll get into that in a moment. And then for the World Brewers Cup, we've got a new grinder, the Lagom 01 by Optiono. So these are the new sponsors. Now, I'm going to start off by, I actually owe someone an apology. And that is, well, not someone, I owe Ceado an apology because last year I made a reel where basically I was talking about the new sponsors and how we've got this new grinder and it costs 10,000 Australian dollars, and I thought it was really unfair and really stupid. Anyway, there was a part I left out of that. There's another grinder called the Ceado Rev Zero, which is not the single dose grinder, and which is, I think, about half the price. So I made a mistake there. I should have mentioned it. I didn't. I called them out and I didn't have my facts right. And Cosmo, the CEO, clapped back at me. And I got to be clear about something here, because they actually make really good quality grinders, and they're not doing anything wrong by sponsoring the competition. And I probably treated them a little bit unfairly with that. So obviously for that, I apologize. And they've been very good to me, because I was at the Host Milan in Milan. That was in November, I think it was, last year, or October. And, made some coffee on the booth, and it was like, the grinders are excellent. I've got absolutely nothing wrong with no issue with the quality of the coffee they produce. But my critique really isn't of Ceado. And this is going to be a theme throughout this podcast. My critique is of the World Coffee Championships here, and kind of the terms of reference, what the brief is, what the qualifications are for someone to sponsor. Because again, if you're a coffee grinder company and you want to introduce a new grinder and you want to sell them to the market, one of the best advertising opportunities you have is to sponsor the World Barista Championship. It's what I would do if I was running a company too. But my issue is not with the sponsor. Like, if you want to do that, that's fine. That's fine. But my issue, and I mean, the coffee machine kind of has to come into play here a little bit as well. Like, my issue is that is with the mounting costs of having to compete. Because and some people will push back saying, oh, you don't need this, you don't need that. Bullshit. The people that win these competitions always have the equipment to prepare with, always. So, we're getting to a point now. And my issue here was, are these grinder companies going to supply world level competitors with the grinders to practice with? And obviously that's not practical. I'm not expecting them to do that, because, there's what are you going to send 80 grinders worth 10,000 a pop around the world? And yeah, of course you're not. And I don't actually expect you to, which is the point. Because there's not the expectation to do that, I think there's an expectation that something needs to be, if it's not accessible, then it needs to be affordable. And we risk losing the essence of barista competition if that's not what our prime focus is. because you're pretty much cementing that only developed countries or baristas that win the national competition from developed countries can win. And I don't think that's fair. I'm sorry. And like I'm not like a woke left-wing guy. Like, take that as you will. I really don't think I'm an ideologue. I just don't. And why I say that is where it comes into this is like, where's the fairness? Where's the fairness for baristas? Like so often in the coffee community, we make a big fuss about, I guess, the misfortunes of people at Origin. So these people that work so hard to produce our coffee for decades now, they've been underpaid, underappreciated, and really disincentivized from producing coffee. And rightfully so. That's something and it's still an issue, and it's something we should always try to improve. But also, baristas who actually work in developed countries as well, like, they're also not the richest people. They're not made of money. So, to compete in a barista competition, you need to usually have the backing of a company, and, that's pretty hard to achieve as well. It's not like you can just, usually those companies are going to be loyal to people that have worked with them for a long time. Fair enough. And so, but like, it's to compete in a barista competition and win, you need to probably have the grinder to compete with. I mean, the last few winners definitely did. To practice with. And it feels like that, minimizing the cost for competitors, maximizing participation, making it a more equal playing field is not really a concern at all anymore. Like, that's just not a concern. And again, I don't want to be one of those people that just like whinges, and again, Ceado have done nothing wrong here. They're perfectly within their rights. I would do it as well if I was the CEO. No qualms. But World Coffee Competition, like, we need to kind of, maybe this is not a discourse that we've had up until now, and maybe we're just starting it now, but where does minimizing the cost, maximizing the participation for baristas come in? And I just don't think it's really being considered at all. So, take that how you will. You can smite me. I don't think enough people are really speaking up about it either. And the thing is, I love the competitions. I really do love the competitions. I want to support them. And I hear so often that there needs to be other competitions made, other organizations made, have like a rival chapter, a rival competition. And I really, I've never really bought into that. But like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Because I mean, if you change it to a cheaper grinder, there's still an expense. Or maybe there can be a discount given to some of these competitors that are going to the world stage. I don't know. I don't really know what the solution is here. Or I mean, I've got one, which is use cheaper equipment. Maybe don't change it all the time. That's another part of the issue. Like, maybe extend the terms. All right, instead of Ceado doing a 2 or 3 year deal, for example, or Vittorio doing it, make it 5 years. So like, we've got a bit more time, because if it just changes so frequently, then it's going to be harder and harder. Like I've got Gabriel Tan, a good friend of mine, and he's kind of, he works for a big company that can afford it, but part of what he has to do is like, okay, I've got to go get rid of this grinder I've been practicing with and go get a new one. And something about that just bothers me. When it costs 10,000 Australian dollars, you can go get the other one, but something about it just bothers me. I will say, I do like that they've brought back single dose grinding, because I thought that was one of the things that kind of made competition excellent. I thought, you saw some of these performances from people like Miki Suzuki in 2017 and Hugh Kelly that same year. They used these dry ice dosing methods or liquid nitrogen dosing methods, and they could just single dose it in. It was excellent. I'm very, very, very happy to see that come back. But I think we need to start talking about the affordability of being able to compete in a competition, because it's never really been cheap. Let's be real. It's never really been cheap. And maybe some people can clap back at me here and say, well, yeah, it's always been somewhat of a money competition. Like, why are you crying up about it now? It's like, oh, I don't know, man. It's just getting like, I've been thinking about competing. I'm like, well, I could never. And now that I've publicly come out and said something, no one's going to lend me a grinder. So we shall see. But I'll tell you what, it's not even the barista category that I have such an issue with. We're moving on to the Brewers Cup now. So the sponsored grinder for the World Brewers Cup will now be the Option O Lagom 01. And can I just say, Option O are based in Melbourne here, and we just had the National Coffee Championships here in Australia. I think that was in November. And Option O were excellent to work with. They lent everyone grinders that asked for some. The quality of the grinders is excellent. I see them popping up at cafes more and more. The coffee that it makes is excellent, world class. If you want to go buy one, recommend it to you. You'll do nothing but make excellent coffee. And same with the Ceado grinders. But there's been a big new rule change inside the World Brewers Cup, and I've got a word for word here. So I've got the rules, printed them out. So on page 18 of the updated Brewers Cup, World Brewers Cup rules and regulations, section 5.3, point B, competitors must use the sponsored grinder for both the open service and compulsory service. What the fuck? I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Who asked for this? Now, one of my favorite things about Brewers is that it's less expensive. It's so much easier to compete in Brewers Cup. I actually think it's become the more popular event. I think barista competition's much harder to win. It's a bigger accomplishment, and it's somewhat like, yeah, you're the world barista champion. But I think Brewers Cup has kind of become, the stronger competition in a way, because there's more participation. Like in Australia this year, it's like trying to buy Taylor Swift tickets, trying to buy a Brewers Cup ticket. And, I heard the same for countries like Korea and Japan. Like, a lot of people really want to compete in Brewers Cup because it's much easier. People love filter coffee. It's great. And so one of the excellent things about Brewers Cup is, like, you don't actually need all that much of a budget. You can do it on a fraction of the price that you can do for barista and win too. So, you can get cheaper kettles, cheaper scales, a hand grinder, and a good coffee that you only need 1 or 2 kilos of. But then you go and change this rule so that competitors must use the sponsored grinder for both the open service and compulsory service. So now you have to go and spend thousands of dollars on a new grinder if you want to practice properly. And don't tell me that it doesn't matter. Like, it does. Like, I just recently coached someone for the Australian Brewers Cup. He came second, and we tried out multiple different grinders for the same coffee, same extraction. And you would be very surprised at the difference there is. If you have the grinder, if you spend the money to get the grinder to prepare with, you are at an advantage, period. And that's fine. But you've sucked all the joy, all the good, one of the best parts about Brewers Cup out of it. And that is, like, the amount of autonomy, not having to spend so much money. And I've seen competitors that have won their national competition already start posting, is there one that I can borrow? I don't want to or cannot afford to buy it. And that's the problem, because participation is what makes these things strong. Not who's sponsoring it, not the corporate end, who's competing, what the story they're telling, the coffee they're serving, and how well they deliver it. Like, sponsorship is obviously a requirement for these competitions to go on. I'm not saying don't have a grinder sponsor, but who asked for this? There's always been a grinder sponsor that we've used for the compulsory, and that's been one of the excellent things about Brewers Cup too, that there is a compulsory course and you all do have to use the same grinder on the stage. But, like, it doesn't really, it lacks fairness to make this change. I don't know who asked for it, because, like, did the company Option O, did they ask for that? Was it just like the updated package for them? Who changed this? And why do we change it? Was it needed? I don't think so. Because if you're someone that that hasn't competed, don't know how these competitions work, or you don't even know about coffee competitions much, let me outline this to you. You could get a hand grinder, which is like $300 or $400, still quite expensive for what it is, but they make excellent world-class coffee. And if you're competing in Brewers Cup, that means you can put all of your stuff in like a carry-on bag if you really wanted to when you're traveling for the world, or just even in your check luggage. One suitcase, put your coffee, kettles, grinders, scales, clothes, done. And now, like if you're going to have the whole kit and caboodle, you've got to pack a Lagom an Optiono Lagom 01. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's disappointing. It's disappointing. And like, don't tell me it doesn't make a difference, because it does. Like, when the one thing from helping Alex with the Brewers Cup this year is like, it's those small little details that go such a long way. The grinder matters because it kind of directly impacts how your coffee is brewed, to which you need to cater your roasting around it, like how you brew it as well. And so all these things matter. So if you have an Optiono Lagom 01, you have an advantage going into this competition. And I've not heard one competitor that's competing at the upcoming World say this is a good thing. This is unambiguously a bad rule change, and it should be changed. And I risk a lot by saying this, like, my relationships, because, the Optiono people are great. And to be honest, I don't even know if it was them that sort of lobbied for this. And maybe WCC as well, because one day I want to compete again or maybe be involved in it. And, I risk a lot by saying this. But this needs to be changed. It needs to be changed back. I think it should be changed back. And honestly, I want some people listening to this to support me on that as well, because, like, fair enough, change the sponsor grinder. If you're doing the compulsory, like, yeah, you're kind of making an interesting competition, because not everyone will have the grinder, and everyone will be able to, well, everyone has to brew the same coffee. But then when you add it to this open service element as well, like, oh yeah, I just think you've taken all the best parts of the Brewers Cup away. And that is like the strength of competition and the ability to participate. Like, yes, there's costs involved, but it's so much less. And it's just, in a way, it's like, it's de facto discrimination, because not everyone can afford it. Not everyone can afford it. And I want to be in a competition. I want to have competitions where someone from Ethiopia, Australia, and the United States all have the same chance of winning. That's what it's all about. They all have the same chance of winning. They're not held back by, where they were born. They're not held back by how much money they have. I just think the strongest competition comes from, giving other people equal opportunity. And it's not equal opportunity if you're compelling them to have to effectively buy this grinder to do their best. If ever you're competing in barista competition, yes, or a Brewers Cup, you're investing money, you're investing time, and you put yourself out there, you do your best, there's one winner, everyone else goes home disappointed. But because of that, because there's so much on the line, I just feel like, make everyone's life a little bit easier. In this decision, every stakeholder except for the competitor has been, I guess, considered. Every stakeholder except for the competitor has been considered. And that's why I think this is a failure. It's just a bad decision. And I don't think it takes anything away from the WCC to walk it back and just be like, you know what? We hear you. That's a good call. Barista, it can't be undone. And I don't even want that to happen, because barista's a different beast. Like, it'll always be expensive. I think there's a long way to go in terms of reducing the cost, increasing the participation, all that sort of stuff. But I just think that the Brewers Cup, it's not too late to change this. We can, and we should. And if you're listening to this, I want you to get behind me. I really do, because it's all well and good to do these podcasts. And again, I'm I'm risking criticism here. I'm risking future opportunities here. That's okay. I'll be fine. But like, come on, back me up. Back me up. It's not that hard. We should be able to do it. I think that this rule needs to be changed back, and I would like you to back me up with it. And again, there's nothing wrong. We need the sponsors. So like in a way, like, thank you, Ceado. Thank you, Optioner. Like, you're doing something, you're investing in the community, but like there's a few things we also need to make this work a little better. And by the way, if you're listening to this, you should go buy Ceado. You should go buy Optioner. They're both excellent. There's other grinders right now that, like, I've got a grinder in my cafe right now that honestly, I just want to destroy it. I don't want to sell it when I get a new one. I want my opportunity to take a baseball bat to it because it sucks so bad. And just what a waste of money it was. I won't name it. If you know me personally or you follow my personal Instagram, you'll know what it is. But it is a terrible grinder. It could be worse with grinder sponsors. We could have a shit company sponsoring. It really could be. But, you know, like I do appreciate that there are sponsors because the competition doesn't exist without them. But can we just calibrate some things around this, please? Can we make it a little bit easier? Can we change this rule about the Brewers Cup? Like, who asked for that? Why was that decision made? It just doesn't need to be like this. Just, it's not too late. Let's not, and don't go being nasty to people online. Like, I want to have this, like, have a respectful dialogue. I hate it when people are just like nasty online. I think this is an acceptable discourse to have. Just be a gentleman about it, gentlewoman, whatever. Just be kind. You don't need to go attacking people personally. So yeah, I guess that's my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments. Share, like and subscribe. Thank you to my sponsors, Timor, Oatly, and Barista Group here in Australia. So they've all been absolutely amazing to work with. I think, honestly, I'd love to see Timor sponsor the Brewers Cup actually, because they are one of the most generous companies in terms of supporting competitors and people at shows. They've got an excellent reputation. I like them. So, you know, if you're considering it in the future, Timor, would love to see it. Anyway, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. I've got a few more podcasts coming out this week. Big 2026 coming. So thanks again for listening. Like, subscribe, tell some of your friends about this podcast. It really helps. I want to grow this year. Let's pump up the jam. Let's pump up the jam. Hooroo, everyone. Let's go. You can either listen to the third Oatly ad of the day about how you can go to oatly.com and find recipes for the amazing drinks, or read the Future of Taste report. It's from the future. Or learn about the sustainability work. Or you can press the 15-sec forward button on your pod playing device. It's totally up to you.